Hi there, welcome to Julie Leggy Tarts. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to show you some very basic slow stitches. It's something that I do incorporate into my everyday life and use in art as well. You can use it on fabric or on paper, and it can enhance your work. It's something that I do incorporate into my everyday life and use in art as well. You can use it on fabric or on paper, and it can enhance your work. Just very therapeutic to do. What I did this morning was I gathered some bits of fabric together. There's a few bits here. I didn't use these actual bits, I used some other bits that are in a basket, and used my sewing machine just to do some patchwork pieces ready for slow stitching. So I'll quickly show you through them. This one that's more yellow themed, creamy. This one's vintage fabrics. This is a mix of some old clothes that I've used, vintage fabrics and scraps. So this was a skirt, that was a shirt, curtains, some old velvet bits there. This is another one. I've done the colour themes very similar on two together, in case you want to use it for book cover or something in the future. And then there's a green one here. This is some old vintage green linen fabric, some bleached silk, that's cushion fabric, another scraps, bit of velvet, and this is from it's a Japanese style piece of fabric, and there's two pieces of those. I have another vintagey one on the cream side, again the vintagey Japanese. This is old broadcloth, and this is an old curtain lining. This is an old eiderdown. And here is another vintagey one. This is some old Sanderson fabric, just ordinary cotton, Japanese silk, old doily fabric one, and that's a tape of some velvet. Right, so I'm going to show you a few stitches. I did a few stitches this morning, so I'll just show you them. Find which piece I did it on. It was on one of the, it's on that one. Let's move those out of the way. So this morning I started doing some slow stitches, so I'm just going to show you the straightforward slow stitch, the really basic stitches you may have learned in school. Then it's the same slow stitch, but I've done it in a spiral. The secret is really to use different thicknesses of thread, because you get a little bit more contrast. And then if you notice here on the broadcloth, I've started doing some stab stitching, which I'll show you today. That's just a couple to start you off. I had done some cross stitches down there, but I think most of you know how to do a cross stitch, so I'm not going to show that today. And I thought I'd start on this colourful one. What I did first, before I came on to film, was just sort out some cottons. These are just ordinary embroidery cottons that I thought I would use with this piece. And I do always hold lots of wool, so there's a good variety of mixes of colours of wool there, so that's what I'm going to use. I've already threaded up my needle with some of the green embroidery thread. Now this comes 6-stranded, and I've divided it and taken 2 strands to sew with. The thing is, you can sew with 1 strand, 2 strands, 3, 4, 5 or 6, and you'll get a different thickness, and I recommend you do that so that you get all a bit more texture on your work. So here I have some 2 strands of the embroidery cotton. Now if you haven't got much embroidery cotton at home because you don't sew, you could use any old wool or just ordinary cotton threads to get you going. As regards fabrics, old clothes, old tea towels, old curtains, anything really, just to put together and sew on. So right, where shall we start? I think we'll do some just plain straightforward slow stitch. Now you can just go in, then back under and out. You haven't got to get it exact. for this. Anything goes really, but what I tend to do for quickness is I'll get a longer needle and just do a few at once and pull the stitch through, and then you'll get just your running thread. So if I carry on and just do a line of stitching there, I'll just do one row just so you can get the gist of it. And when I've worked on these, I'll show you again later on my blog or on another video, and you can have a look to see how it's been worked up. You can add beads, more bits of fabric. The world's your limit, you know, you can do whatever you like with it. Right, I'm going to pull that one through. I'm going to leave it attached there, and then I'm going to do some stitches with some of the wool, which I've got some of this wool already threaded up. I do tend to tie a knot in the end of my threads. Oops, it's windy outside, it's just blown something over. Right, so I'm just going to do the same again. Straight running stitch with cream circle. Maybe I'll see them a bit better. And you'll find that people work differently with stitch. Some people are very organic and they get quite a grungy feel. Other people are very neat and tidy and everything's very accurate and the same size. And really anything goes. We all sort of do things differently, and that's the beauty of it. I do like to do quite organic stuff that is a bit uneven and a bit grungy looking. I do neat stuff as well. I do embroider, but that's very time consuming doing fancy stitches. So there you go, I hope you see that. I'm not sure how well it shows up, how good the camera is, but you see that there. And I'll show you again on the other piece that I did. You can probably see there where I took the slow stitches in a spiral fashion and changed over to some wool, some bobbly wool. I'll show you which wool I used. I used this wool. It's very, very fine. These fine wools are really good for embroidery and sewing. So that's how it gets the textured feel around the spiral. And I've done very small stab stitching on the brown broadcloth there, which I shall carry on all the way around there and work on that and fill it up. I shall add some colour to this doily. I have machine stitch there with a fancy embroidery stitch which matched the edging. I'm very lucky to have a nice sewing machine to use as well. Right, so I hope that's given you a bit of an idea, and I'll share this with you again when I've done more. Thank you for watching.